I'm out in one section of our garden and I found a new little plant friend. So this is Aster, and I actually forgot that I had planted Aster this year. I'm in a section of our garden that is just alongside the house, so I tend to just throw various wildflower seeds here. And I forgot that I planted this year in the spring, but a couple weeks ago I noticed these blooms, these purple blooms with a yellow center, and it made me realize, oh, I planted Aster here. So this is my first time growing it on the property, and it is very much a late bloomer, so it tends to bloom like late August, September time, and that was true for us here. So in the spring, I can't remember what month it was, but sometime in the spring, I pretty much just threw seeds down here. This area of our garden, we've been growing flowers here for probably 3 growing seasons, and so originally it was just our native soil, which is pretty much sand. So I added some compost to this area, not a ton, but I did add some compost, and then over the past 3 growing seasons it's been getting some organic matter just from whatever plants that grew there. I usually just chop them and just let them lay and decompose on top, but for the most part it's been pretty low maintenance. Like I said, I just kind of threw seeds in down in the spring and forgot about them, and then noticed that Aster came through a couple weeks ago. She's also a perennial, so I bought these seeds from Strictly Medicinal, and I'm pretty sure this variety is hardy down to zone 3, so she'll come back next year. She's pretty tall, so I'm standing on the ground, the same place the plant is rooted, and she's almost as tall as me. I'm about 5'2", maybe 5'3" on a good day. I think next year I would love to plant more Aster, maybe on like a border or just like up against walls or fence lines. I think that would be really cool. Really nice pop of color later in the season. So like I mentioned, kind of end of August, September was the bloom time that we experienced. And so that's just like really fun for flowers to bloom when that time of year. A lot of other things are kind of on their way out. They're done flowering, they're going to seed, and getting ready to go dormant. So nice to have towards the end of the season. And we do water this area. We have little misters, so there is additional irrigation outside of our typical rainfall. But I grew this in another area which didn't get as much water, and they did just fine over there too. So I think this plant would do well in drier conditions and not that great of soil. So all in all, my experience has been really great. Super low maintenance plant, beautiful flowers, an abundance of uses. I'm excited to grow more next year. The flowers, the leaves, and the roots are most traditionally used in medicine making. I think I'm just going to use the flowers this year. Aster has an affinity for the respiratory tract, so upper and lower respiratory tract. So it has uses for colds and coughs and allergy-related things. I think it could also be really handy during fire season. I plan to harvest the flower heads and use them in a tincture, and then I'm also going to dry some of the flowers for use throughout the winter months as a tea and also as a steam. But with that being said, herbs have so many different uses. So I would encourage you to just start growing Aster, start using it and see what you think. Like anything, you can get really heady about it and kind of get lost in information overload. I know I do that sometimes. But my favorite way to learn about things is to be with the plant and really experience the magic firsthand. Okie doke, well, I've got my flowers here and I'm just gonna make a small tincture with the fresh flowers. So I am just going to, sometimes I just shake off any little bugs, and I'm just gonna chop these up, pack them into this jar, and then cover with alcohol. So when I make tinctures, I like to use alcohol that's organic, and I prefer alcohol made from cane rather than like a wheat or corn or potato or something like that. So I found this one recently. It's made in Oregon, organic vodka, 80 proof, and made from cane sugar. So we'll open this and then just pour it on top. So whenever I am making tinctures, when they're macerating, I usually cover this with wax paper. The alcohol, if you're using like a metal lid, it can cause the lid to kind of corrode a bit. So the wax paper will prevent that, but it will also, it helps with creating a tighter seal. So I like to use a bit of wax paper. So here's the tincture. I like to always put a label on things. I've learned from the past. I always think that I'll remember, but I never do. So I like to label things with the plant and then what part of the plant. So for this one, I just wrote Aster blooms, and then whatever liquid it's in. So 80 proof vodka, and then I just put cane in parentheses. I've kind of switched over to just using cane, but sometimes I like to put that on there. And then the date that I made it. So today's September 20th. And then I'll let this go for a couple of weeks, probably 2 weeks. I'll let it sit on my counter out of direct sun and give it a good shake every day. And then after 2 weeks, it could go longer if I wanted to, but I think 2 weeks will be good. Then I'll just strain it off and we'll use it as we need. So there we go, just a quick video on Aster and her uses. I am new to using Aster, so I'm really looking forward to getting to know her better and definitely growing a bit more next year.